with violence.
Yeah.
And so that's what these wars are. None of them are real. They're not what you think they're for. That's all made up. And we keep falling. I can't believe people still fall for the Ukraine war.
They went into that so quick. They got rid of the.
Well, Russiagate set it up. And when I was at the Young Turks, I would tell those people, those knuckleheads at the Young Turks, when they were Russiagating, I go, they're going to use this for a war. And that's exactly what they knew they were doing that. They knew that they were getting people mentally ready for a war with Russia. And by this right now, it's a proxy war with Russia. That's what this is. And of course they did it. And of course, if you say something, they call you a Putin puppet, just like you were an Assad toady. If you said something, the truth about Syria, like Tulsi Gabbard was saying,
right.
Or if you said the truth, remember? I mean, if you said there weren't weapons of mass destruction, you were called a traitor. And
right.
The whole thing, it's the fucking never end. It's the
never
same
ends.
playbook, and people fall for it every time. And it's because we are the most propagandized country in the world. You think China is? When people in China watch the news, they know it's propaganda. In the old Soviet Union, people knew that was propaganda. The difference between that and now is people in America, they think they're watching the news when they turn on Fox, CNN, MSNBC. And isn't it weird? It never clicks to anybody that when Rachel Maddow and Sean Hannity are telling you the same thing about Ukraine, doesn't that something will go open? My spidey sense is like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. Yes, it is. Yes, when they're telling you the same thing about COVID or vaccines or lockdown, doesn't your spidey senses go up that this has got to be bullshit? So they all agree, again, just like the Republicans and Democrats, they all agree on the worst of things, right? They all agree on war. They all agree on screwing workers. They all agree on keeping us having the most expensive healthcare in the world. They all agree on not doing anything to fix homelessness and not investing in our own infrastructure. But so they agree on all the worst things. It's like having two divorced parents, but they both agree on sending you to military school.
Yeah, it's a conundrum for sure. But don't you think that more people are aware that it's bullshit than ever before?
I hope so. I think a lot. I think COVID woke up a lot of people.
I think it did too, and I think shows like yours and these shows that are online now that aren't beholden to a corporation, that are independent shows that can actually connect the dots, knowledgeable people that actually understand the history behind everything. It's just a different world now.
Even with YouTube, Joe, it's amazing how many people told the company line. They told the company line around Ukraine war. They told the establishment line around COVID and vaccines and shamed anybody for. It was just amazing. I'm like, what the fuck is going? So there's only maybe a couple of places that. You can get reliable news, even in independent news, right?
Yeah.
The Gray Zone had to debunk. They debunk everything, and
the Gray Zone.
Yeah, it's Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate.
Okay.
Yeah, and they helped debunk Russiagate. They helped debunk the Syria gas attacks. Aaron Mate did extensive work on that. I was first, but I'm a dumb guy. I have to take credit where I can, And but how
did you debunk that?
I knew because Robert Fisk had done reporting on the ground. He was one of the most decorated war reporters in Europe, and it didn't make any sense on its face that Assad, who was winning the war at the time, would do the one thing Barack Obama said if he crossed that red line and used chemical weapons, he would then go do it. And they only killed like 50 people at a time with a chemical weapon. So why the fuck would he do that? Of course, that was a false flag done by. And then the OPCW. Whistleblower. So the OPCW, which is the Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Weapons, right? And so they used to be considered, nonpartisan and non-captured. And they would go in and if there was a chemical weapon used, they would go in and they would do a report. Well, of course, they got captured, right, by NATO and the billionaire class. And so they go in, they do their report, and they're like, oh, yeah, it was Assad, he did it. But then the whistleblowers came out and said, no, that's not what happened. They suppressed the engineer's report. They suppressed this report. These canisters were laid there. This wasn't dropped from a helicopter. So it was all bullshit, right? So of course Assad didn't do that, right? And so I was onto that first, and then Aaron Mate came back and he did meticulous reporting on it. He's written at least 10 articles on it, which nobody will ever debunk. Nobody, because they can't, right? Mm-hmm. And and Russiagate, I knew immediately Russiagate was bullshit because I brought on Bill Binney, who was NSA's number one code breaker for decades and decades. And he came on and he explained to me that they didn't hack into that DNC server that was downloaded locally, right? And now we know that how much shit they wrote a smear piece about me in the Washington Post because I was asking logical questions about what happened with Seth Rich.
Yeah.
Hey, where was he from the time he left the bar to the time he got home?
You're
It's like
not allowed to ask ethical questions about a guy that WikiLeaks said leaked them information that
That's right.
DNC was conspiring to keep Bernie Sanders out of the primary. You're not allowed to.
I remember they wrote that Jeff Bezos hired a guy at the Washington Post to smear me over that, right? And they did.
I don't know if Jeff personally was involved.
And
Don't you think Jeff's busy? I mean, it was his paper, but I mean, how much time do you think he's spending at his paper? Realistically,
why do you think he bought that paper? You think he bought that paper because he wants to inform people about what the billionaire class is up to, Joe?
It's super profitable.
It's not. It's not.
It makes billions of dollars a year.
No, in fact,
no, it does really well. It only tells the truth.
In fact, the head of the Washington Post went into the went into the newsroom just as like a month ago, and I don't know how it got leaked out that he said, "Hey, nobody's reading your shit anymore. People are done with the corporate news. Hopefully,
Yeah.
right? They're fine. Well, that's why you saw that." I can't think of her name. That idiot for the Washington Post who covers social media. She's the
Taylor Lorenz.
Yeah, the 40-year-old teenager.
Yeah.
And she did a TikTok about how I don't know people. You don't know what the people don't understand what the country's going to look like without these corporate journalists because they just fired like 10,000 of them. And I go, I know what the country's going to look like. I'm going to wake up every morning and an animated bluebird is going to land on my shoulder and we're all going to break out into song. Okay? Yeah, because corporate news is fucking nothing but bullshit propaganda. We've known this forever.
Right, and if
But
you
people
can,
keep falling for it.
I think people don't think that independent news can replace it, but I 100% think it can, and I think it has more of a life.